All right, Mr. Miller. There are 2 doors behind us. Make your choice to see if you win the prize.
All right.
Because you know you want to be right in your selection.
I understand.
It's always important to have the right answer.
Yes.
Good luck. I hope you make the right choice.
Thank you. I think I'll pick the door on the right.
What? But I thought... I'm sorry, but looks like this game left you without a prize.
Oh, I see how this is. Did you see what just happened? Because he emphasized right, he influenced me to pick the door on the right, knowing that there would be nothing there, which was his preferred outcome.
Who are you speaking to?
This is a classic example of strategy using the idea of game theory. Hello, I'm an animated figure of Nathan Miller, and today I will show you how Bandersnatch uses this philosophy to give viewers the perception of player choice, yet it manipulates them into certain outcomes.
Seriously, I know I speak to my audience, but I really don't know who you're talking to.
Should have gone for the left. Now you're probably asking yourself, game theory? Like that YouTube show? No, not that. What I'm talking about is the actual philosophy of game theory, which is defined as the study of games in which interacting choices of economic agents produce outcomes with respect to the preferences of those agents, or the outcomes in question might have been intended by none of the agents, or simply studying why people make certain choices and how they affect what happens after. Originally invented as a mathematical theory by John Van Neumann and Oscar Morgenstern, with many examples from historical times, this theory has since refined to what it is today, a philosophical study to determine what moves players will make to get to their preferred outcomes. Take blackjack here. Sure, it could be based on chance, unless you count cards, but that's a gray area that casino employees really don't like.
You think you can beat the system? This is the system! Beating you back.
No. With this game, you make a bet based on how close you think you are to 21 compared to your adversaries and the dealer. If you're right, you get more chips. Wrong, and you lose those chips.
Blackjack!
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. As you can tell, I made the right choice by betting a lot. Now, how does Bandersnatch play into all this? Well, let's take a look at it.
Choices come up on the screen and you pick one against the clock. Okay, he's Pax, he's the demon, he's in the book. So we've actually arrived at a choice point and you can choose with the joystick. You've got 10 seconds.
Worship him.
No, don't do that, he's the thief of destiny. In the book, I mean.
Got a copy of this at home, never got around to reading it.
Well, you should. Jerome F. Davies was a genius.
Didn't he go bonkers and cut his wife's head off?
Well, yeah, but I mean, apart from that...
Excuse me. What's happened?
Well, I haven't programmed that pathway yet.
A lot of paths, then?
Well, yeah, if it's going to be like the book.
So come on, how do you want to go about this?
You're interested?
That's what I'm saying. Okay, it's July now, so if we want to hit Christmas, then we'll need the tapes and Smiths by November. Okay, so here's my proposal. Come and write it here.
Here?
Yeah, we'll give you a couple of desks, set up a small team just for you, and of course Cole's on hand. What do you reckon?
Bandersnatch is a special episode of Black Mirror where in the style of a choose-your-own-adventure game, the viewer gets to make certain choices that affect the story. Now this is where game theory really kicks in. Since the choices you make in Bandersnatch determine what may happen next, you have to think strategically about what you choose, whether it's picking what music to listen to or to murder your own father. Now these choices will lead to all sorts of outcomes, but what you, as well as main character Stefan, fail to realize is that in this game you're not alone. The viewer may be making these choices, but the show itself is also a player. And in terms of game theory, that means that while you may have your own set of outcomes that you hope to get, so does the show. So it tries to influence your own choices to get to their own outcome. It's basic strategy, manipulating fellow players to get to their most desired outcome. For instance, take a look at this scenario and main character Stefan is with his therapist.
Perhaps you're feeling intruded upon because of the anniversary looming. It's a difficult time of year for you. Can't underestimate that. Would you like to talk about what happened with your mother? It can be helpful to revisit things, even if you feel you've done this before. You might discover something new.
No. What good does it do? Going over things again and again.
Think carefully. You really might learn something new. So I'll ask again. Would you like to talk about what happened with your mother?
Now, based on her wording, it seems pretty clear that she's using strategic manipulation to get the viewer to choose the option to talk about his mother, displaying as what could be a fascinating outcome. Wouldn't you agree? Did you also feel manipulated into belief that this video is also a choose-your-own-adventure? Sorry, it's not. But both how the therapist described talking about the mom and what I just did to you are examples of strategic manipulation in game theory. The therapist sways the viewer to want to hear Stefan talk about his mom, and I convinced you that you actually had a choice. Though, you don't. But I'll get more into how your choices may not actually matter in a bit. But going back to what I did, that goes with what eventually happens towards one of the endings of Bandersnatch.
So you finally finished it?
Finished. Delivered. Everything. I've been trying to give the player too much choice. So I just went back, stripped loads out. And now they've only got the illusion of free will, but really...
Stefan finishes the game realizing that giving actual choices doesn't really matter. But it's better to give the player an illusion that they can choose. This also goes with how the episode manipulates the viewer. And speaking of not actually having a choice that matters, you see, when I said the show is manipulating viewers into certain outcomes, I didn't just mean influencing your choices. The show pretty much gave you choices to mess with, not letting you know that most of these choices pretty much end the same way. At the end of it all, Stefan will always end up mentally broken in one capacity or another, and the game will either be destroyed or completed. Sure, those endings are somewhat different, but the idea is always the same. Stefan, insane, game finished. And you're probably wondering, why do I keep using manipulation as examples for game theory? Well, let me show you this. Now, this is what's known as a game tree. Basically, this is what we use in game theory to figure out how certain outcomes will play out. For instance, like, let's say Stefan chooses to talk. If he talks about his mom, then that means he just talks about his mom, and yeah, that's it. If he chooses not to talk, then the therapist will pretty much, as I mentioned earlier, will manipulate him using his emotions to make him try and talk. It works or it doesn't, based on the choice of the viewer. Now these over here, these are called preferences. Basically, what these are how the certain player in this game tree feels about this outcome. So like the therapist, she has a 1 for the talk. That means this is her highest preference. This means that she wants this outcome the most. Meanwhile, Stefan, he has a 1 in no talk. He doesn't want to talk with his mom. That's his preferred outcome. But due to the manipulation, due to the therapist manipulating Stefan, this could possibly make you really think, well, maybe it could be a good idea. Thus, and of course it would make Stefan realize maybe it would be better for me to talk about my mom. So that would cause his overall preferences to change due to the strategic move of manipulation. So this would now be 1-1, while this would be 2-2. Due to the therapist manipulating Stefan into wanting to talk about his mom, suddenly he's like, wait, this is my highest preference. This is what I actually want to do. So his preference will change. Now it's a 1 because he wants to do it. Whereas he chooses not to talk. Sorry, that sounds weird. If he chooses no talk, well, that's his lowest preference now, because now he's convinced by the therapist that he should talk. So basically his highest preference is now to talk. due to the strategic manipulation made by the therapist. That makes sense? Now, I understand that the idea of game theory using something like Bandersnatch could feel incredibly complicated. So thank you and congratulations on keeping up. Now, I keep mentioning manipulation and strategy, but I never mention one thing. Why are we being played? Why is the preference of manipulating the viewer so high for the creators of Bandersnatch? Well, it's strategy. If people can be made to believe that their choices can actually have meaning, and there's going to be a difference to any ending, then of course you're going to keep watching. So it's obviously good for the creators. And in the world we live in today, the more people you get watching your content, the better. So overall, the creators of Bandersnatch use game theory to get everyone to watch and stay interested in what they make. It's a powerful strategic move that definitely was successful. More people are watching. So my overall consensus is that we're being manipulated to see different outcomes. To see as many outcomes we can. To keep watching. It's a choose your own adventure episode. They want us to see the outcomes, and they want us to keep looking. Sure, they influence us towards certain outcomes in certain points of the episode with the clever writing, but that's only to make us to go to that outcome and then think, well, what if I pick the other way? And so we go back and we do the other outcome. Then we do more and more and more and more. But yeah, overall, game theory is a big part of Bandersnatch. It's part of the how and why the episode is made. It's used to make us believe that our choices matter, and it gets us to keep watching and making more choices. And it's hoping that we find something new that we didn't know each time, while still constantly looking for that perfect outcome that doesn't actually exist. But hey, it's just a theory. Well, anyway, that's my take on this. I hope the theory was interesting for you. And the like and subscribe button. I hope that they are very desirable for you. Even the notification bell. All these will give you the best outcome you can imagine. Great content without paying a cent, gaining knowledge, and having some fun watching some good videos. Thank you.